inside for Albert. Albert will get the score. Fiddler, his farewell. He tapped into a legend and probably rugby league immortality. That's not a try, that's a miracle.
G'day guys, welcome back to the Take the Two podcast on a pretty sad and somber morning. Wouldn't say I'm happy to be here. It's been a pretty fucked up 12 hours, I'm not going to lie. We're hurting. We're in the hurt locker. We're deep in the hurt locker. It's brought to you by Neds. We love Neds. Shout out to Neds doing great things. Stephen Crichton had the triple last night for an ATS. One of the few moments I got to smile last night. Jump on the Neds app, follow along with all of our bets. Shall we?
Good morning.
How are we feeling?
I had 2 beers last night.
Not enough. Heaps not enough.
Well, I feel like I had 50.
And then got hit by a train.
Yeah, on the way home, and then my kebab dropped out of my hand as I was going to take my first bite. Good morning.
There's not many worse feelings, right? Kebab slipping out of the pores.
I honestly am devastated. I was lucky enough to go to the game, but I'm deflated. I've read this book so many times.
Yeah, I know it well. I could read this book to you in Braille by this point. I know this thing inside fucking out. It's fucked.
The only shining light is that I'm here with you and Kat. And for those of you that are concerned about Kat and I's relationship, we're sweet.
We're good.
We're
good.
so
we're
fine.
all good.
We're all good.
We're all a bit upset. We're all a little bit tender today. I guess we start, mate. Queensland. Simply too good in this game. And I think the man that deserves a lot of credit for how this has all played out is Billy Slater. And I'm going to jump on the front foot first and say I was talking to my mate Nick that you met a few weeks ago, 2 hours before game 2 kicked off. I essentially just thought, there's no way he can get out of this. Even if they win this game, they won't win game 3. This is just all completely fucked. He's butchered this entire thing. And the way that he inspired his side to just get a pulse back in this series, I thought it was incredible. Bringing Josh Papali'i back, just an inspired decision. Shibasaki, I thought 5 minutes in, this is going to be a Justin Hodges-like debut for Shibasaki. Nope, just went to another level, found a way, went up against the world's best centre, in my opinion, did a good job. Obviously Cam Munster, the saga this week and whatnot. I thought there was a really iconic moment before game 2, mate, that had me a little bit nervous, where there was Slater and Cam Munster. They both sat on the floor together in the change room. Munster passes the AirPod to him, and I said to Kat, I go, fuck. I just feel like in that moment, Munster just took all the weight off Billy Slater's shoulders, and the role had to be reversed for this Origin game. And Billy, he got all of his guys up.
All right, goosebumps.
Typical Queensland fashion. Tom Dearden, the guy that Brisbane didn't want as their halfback. He was meant to be the next 10 years. They said, we do not want you. Billy Slater inspires him to come out with a performance like that. I haven't even said the name DCE. It's one of the bigger decisions in Origin history, in my opinion. It was a decision that had to be made, but it's heaps easier for me to sit on my fat ass and say it here instead of him actually doing it in real life. Made a big call. I don't think Slater's got everything right this series. I still think there are things that he's stumbled over, but the way he's responded to those things, it's been nothing short of incredible, mate.
Well, you speak about Origin in a vacuum, and it's 3 games, and you have to win 2, and everyone says, well, that's obviously easier when you've got a home game, or like for us New South Wales fans, it was a series we couldn't lose.
Yep.
We go up there, we win game 1. We didn't play our best. We heard all this stuff about we didn't play our best. I think we even said on our review show we could play better. We could have kicked some goals, all that kind of stuff. And then you go to game 2, and I remember saying to you, there's more pressure on New South Wales to win game 2 because game 3 is a free hit at immortality for Queensland. They lose game 2. The way that Billy, like as much as I hate to say this, God, he's good. He's just so good at the way that he breaks a game apart. I thought his tactics last night were excellent. And it pains me to say it, but like we always hear this Queensland get Origin, and like that was it last night.
That was it, mate. That was it, Dan. There was a couple of key moments in that game that was just it down to a T.
And I've always thought that your little moments turn into big moments, maybe not straight away, but and we lost the little moments last night, which made the big moments worse. And we haven't done that. Last series, game 2, game 3, we won all the little moments. We had all the momentum. Game 1, we had all the momentum. We win those little moments. They turn into big moments. Game 2, 26-0 at half time. That was just a bad omen for game 3. And whilst I was confident we were going to win, I didn't see us playing like that last night. But Queensland, to their credit, you spoke about Cameron Munster. My father passed away after my debut and I was rattled for 2 weeks. And I was a young man at that stage. Cameron's transformation into such a quality leader this year, and I won't say overnight because he's obviously been building to it, but to be able to play under that pressure and lead your state with the week that you've had, honestly, it's inspiring.
Oh, mate, and I even think you go back for, like, mate, it wasn't that long ago that Cam Munster was in trouble off the field. He was kicking guys in grand finals. He was, like, the idea of him being a leader at Melbourne was almost laughable, realistically. Like, the way that at the point that he was at and the way that he's turned his life around,
Becoming a dad does.
Well, I was about to say, the way it looks to me like that's had a huge influence.
It does, mate. And
in what way?
You're not looking after yourself anymore. To be a rugby league player, you have to be extremely selfish.
Yep.
And to be a coach, I felt like I was going back down that path of extremely selfish. My whole week revolved around that 1%, and that 1% started to dominate the rest of the week, the other 99. When your 99's dominating the 1, that's when you get it. And at the moment, he's probably gone through periods, and most footballers do, where you lead up because no one cares what you do up until that 1%.
Yep.
And it's 80 minutes and you're judged on that. You look at fans, that's why our game's great, right? When that 1% starts to dominate the 99, you become so selfish and focused on that whatever you do, you can just blame it on footy. Played bad, need to get on the piss. Played good, need to get on the piss. It's 2 days like we won last week. Like you just, that starts to dominate the 99.
Yep.
When you become a dad, and what I've experienced, and I'm in such a great place now personally, is because I'd stepped away from footy and let the 99 dominate the 1. And my 1% now is this. This is my outlet. This is why I love coming in.
Harsh on me, but that's fine.
That's
I'm
fine.
sitting right here. But
but you're my footy at the moment. Yeah, it's a wrap, all right? But I think he's got a real balance of that 99 dominating the 1 and a calmness that, at the end of the day, he's got a responsibility at home that doesn't care about footy at all, and that pulls you back to your centre very, very quickly. You talk about the decisions from Billy Slater, like the DCE decision. He didn't even go last night. DCE. He didn't even go to the game.
Yeah, wow.
I think they got the bye this week, so there's an opportunity to go there. He may have gone away and not a shot at DCE, but like something's fractured there.
Well, KP was there.
Yeah, KP was there. I think Mo Fodawaker was there. So the decision to do that, to put Dearden in, Loiero, like we looked at some of the changes and we confidently felt like New South Wales had the team to win all 3 games. Now we're sitting here today looking at the selections that Billy made, the pressure he put on himself after game 1 with the changes, but also obviously he had the media mix up that he apologised for, like it was all on him. And when you said that, I got goosebumps because Billy sitting down, connection to players is such a great thing. And like that's why I love Wayne so much. Yeah. I saw Wayne last week and I was like, if you need me to play this weekend, I'll fucking play. And Billy's got that respect within that Queensland group, not only because of what he did as a player, but the care factor.
Yeah.
The care factor is such a unspoken thing in NRL. It's like, he's great tactically, but he's not a carer. And to have that last night, the effort they put in, the players, like Kurt Capewell came back in the side, Shibasaki, and we're just going, this is a chance for us to get this at home. And I was out there. It was flat, mate. It was flat.
Talk about tactical decisions he made. And at the time, I said I actually kind of liked this one, but we got to the end of game 1 and I thought, Trent Leary on the bench, he's not an impact guy. I sort of thought he probably won't play game 2. Billy Slater went the opposite way. Thought, you know what? I'm actually going to pick these guys, and this is something we're going to talk about a little bit later in the podcast. I'm going to pick these guys for their strength. I know that Pat Carrigan, he can have an impact on a game. I'm going to bring him off the bench. I'm going to play Trent Leary in jersey 13. Who's the better 13? For me, it's Pat Carrigan by a distance. But for makeup of the team and for the best outcome for the team, it made more sense for Trent Leroux to be in that 13 jersey and to bring Pat Carrigan off the bench to have impact.
Yeah,
and I just thought it was genius.
The other thing that we didn't even speak about in our pre-show warm-up, Harry Grant played the worst game in Origin history for him. Like, Billy had not only had to drop the halfback, he had to get to the world's best number 9 and say, champion, you're the world's best number 9. Let's try and do this. Let's do that. Harry had to put his ego aside and go, hey, mate, yeah, I did play bad. Like, that's all about care factor and preparation and all this kind of stuff. The last 2 games, like, Harry Grant's dominated the last 2 games. Tom did deservedly Wally Lewis medal. But Harry Grant's last 2 games are Harry Grant level. So it was just a performance.
Just on that as well, before you move on from him, like Harry Grant, you know, I personally think that's the worst big game I've seen him play in game 1. I don't think there's any arguments to that. You know, the big stat that came out of that, Queensland's never won a game that Harry Grant starts. That was the big conversation point. Billy just went, no, I know I've got the best 9 in the world.
Yeah.
I know he'll respond. I know he'll be sweet. Had Kurt Mann on the bench. We spoke about before games that maybe Kurt Mann could start by, no, I've got the best 9 in the world. Well, he's my 9. He's going to be my guy. And I think it is just the way that Slater, the way that he's got a response out of each and every one of these guys, it's just blown me away.
I'd love, we'll never ever will see it, but I'd love to just hear the behind the scenes thoughts, talks, how they went through it with their staff. Like, there's probably a private documentary for the boys, obviously, but yeah, those decisions are, in 20 years' time, me and you are still going to be talking about those decisions and how that maybe changed the course of Origin, because we're supposed to be in a purple patch right now in New South Wales.
Mate, I thought, and I genuinely believe this, and I think at the time after it came out, I think everyone tend to agree in New South Wales, I thought the not kicking of Spencer Leniu had changed Origin. I thought that was a turning point in the game where you went, okay, there's been a change here, there's been a shift here, and it's in the favour of New South Wales. You know, the other thing that stands out to me too, mate, which I can't believe this coming out of the series, and I don't think it's something that's been spoken about. Slater, the entire series, picking guys we didn't expect, you know, having little outbursts in the media, having to apologise on game day, Cam Munster's, you know, the passing of his father, a lot of things going on. He named 1 to 17 and ran out with them in every single game. At no point did he make changes. No point did he make adjustments. Nothing ever happened. I look at Slater going, this guy's rattled as shit for the last 6 weeks. Under the surface, I just think, I don't think he was. Which kills me. Like, I can't believe at no point was there not, you know, we've watched him the last few years, and you never knew leading into kickoff whether it was going to be Harry Grant or Ben Hunt or what was going to happen, who was going to change, what was going to go on. No, 1 to 17, all 3 games.
The most telling part for me about that coaching side, and I know we're going to break down New South Wales, but I saw a clip of halftime. Billy's sitting there addressing intent, clearly putting down the role of what needs to happen. I didn't like the body language on Loz.
Yep.
Sat slouched back, bit sort of, yeah, well, you guys got yourself into this, you're going to get yourselves out. I was like, from all we've heard, like, that is Loz's strength. He's like motivating and getting all those guys together. Now, I don't know what was said at that time. It may have been a message that may have been the wrong time to go, the camera to go there, but it sort of just mirrored what you saw last night. You saw an intent from Queensland, and from us, you saw some confusion, lack of real game understanding, I guess, and ownership, I reckon is the word that you're about to bring up. But what a series for Queensland and Billy Slater. Fuck.
Where does it rank as far as series, mate? Like, you know, we've got 95, we've got 2020. I wouldn't put it above those two. But I think as far as Queensland series victories and everything, when you take everything into consideration, sacking captain halfway through, changes they made, stuff that happened off the field, the passing of Steve Munster 2 days before the game. If you said to me it's the 3rd best, I don't know if I could push back on you too heavily.
Nah, yeah. Well, I haven't delved.
I can't put it outside of the just off the dome. I can't put it out. I can't put 5 in front of it. Put it that way.
Nah.
I don't think I can put 3 in front of it. I can put two in front of it.
Yeah.
A 3rd, I think I'd struggle for.
Yeah, and the narrative now is that they can lean back on that anytime. You know, when you talk about, I think he did 95 before game 2. He had all the 95 players matched up. So like Ben Ikin was in Munster's locker and all that kind of stuff. And then there was a conversation. I was listening to a podcast where it was like, what's New South Wales' biggest moment? And then it's like, 85. I think it was 85 when Steve Mortimer.
Yeah, Turby, yep.
Yeah.
Which we leaned into last year.
Yeah. And then it's like 2005, Joey. What do we like? Where's our series of like? No one gave us a shot, and we did it.
Yep.
And that's unfortunately that's where we are at the moment.
Yeah. Cameron Munster, we've already spoken about him a little bit. I heard Matty Johns and Cooper Cronk last week on their podcast. I don't know if you caught it, but they went through their top 10 Origin players of all time. Matty Johns had Cameron Munster in his, and he just said, I can't hear any arguments against it. I probably had him just outside my top 10 Origin players of all time, unfortunately. There's probably 6 or 7 Queenslanders in there, which breaks me. But, mate, his standing in the game now after what he did in 2020, what he did in Game 2 this year to keep it alive, and then, mate, just to lace on a boot last night, pretty fucking incredible.
Matty Johns is probably my top, apart from you, my top person.
Matty Johns is the top person, and I don't think it's even close.
You're a close second.
No. I don't know who's second, but it's Johns, Daylight throw
again.
a dart at a fucking board and
He's
see who you land on.
Matty, when he talks, people like if you love rugby league, you just listen.
Yep.
And you don't have thoughts going on in your head about how to come back or when he said he's going to name his top 10, I guarantee you just went, I'm going to listen to this
100%.
and I'm not going to try and debunk his top 10. And then you would have been thinking about that 24 hours later going, okay. Like he's got that gravitas, that pull.
Yep.
There was a series, maybe 2017, 2018, potentially, where Munster just had all these little moments where he just chipped away and like loose ball and New South Wales surgeon and he just dive on it and then they'd make a break, throw it back in field and he'd just find a way to get the ball. He just is Origin for Queensland at the moment. And selfishly, when you look at what they've had, Thurston, Lockyer, Cronk, I said to you at the start of the series, it feels good that we've got Katoa coming through and Moses and Luai and we've got the selection dramas that we have to get right, and he just stays to the plan. Billy stays to his plan, but Munster gets a way to own Origin every single year, and he just scares the shit out of you.
Yep.
Not because you like you look at other guys and you go, well, that person's going to kick you to death. That person's going to run the ball. That person's his ball players. Like he's just elite at everything.
Yeah. I think the scariest thing about Cam Munster is the ways he can beat you. He can
that's
run
what
over
I
the
mean.
top of you. He can step past you. He can beat you with the ball. He can beat you with a kick. Like there's so many ways that he can beat you. And you have got some of the names that you just listed before. I don't think any of those guys have the range that Cam Munster does. And
great point,
mate. I've always said it, and I think the time's gone now. But like, I think there's a really good argument for the last, maybe not the last 2 years, probably the 6 years before that. That there's a really good argument. He hasn't even been playing his best position. I think,
Munster.
oh, mate. I reckon if he was fullback from the start and he was left to stay there, I think he could have absolutely fucking terrorised.
That's that. Thank you, Billy. Any ideas?
I
Well, he
think
was
he's too
tossed
old
up
now.
being fullback this year, remember?
Fucking oath he was. He's 31
was DCE
years.
geared and-
He's 31 years old and he could hardly walk last year. And
Yeah,
they
I
were
know.
still considering playing him at fullback because they know what he's capable of doing.
It's funny, Cam Smith tells a story about like Munster when he trains, but I think it was on their 167 podcast. And his first series, Kevy was coaching and they talked about like when Munster came in, he just trained like shit. And Kev goes over to Kevy, goes, "It's all right, mate. That means he's going to have a blinder." And it's like, fuck, I hate those guys.
Hate him. Yeah. Hate him. That's Munster.
Because I've had to work like my whole life to get elite at something. And he just comes in and he's sort of a bit, the joker on campus. And you just know he's going to have a big game.
I love guys like that though, that it feels like it all just falls into place one, but Munster has worked himself like a fucking dog to get to that moment.
The Steely focus that they had after game one, like they had some disruptions, but it wasn't about the team, about Bill. And then game 3, like you said, to have Billy take that, pressure back and just, be a mate. Yeah, that's, This is pain. Have we finished yet?
Long way to go. Let's talk about the man of the match, Tommy Dearden. One thing I want to say first of all with him, mate, is, and just about the game in general, I always say, I think when you do things has to matter. And I think in rugby league, sometimes it doesn't matter enough. I think sometimes we focus more on Dally M medals, which I'm sort of like, okay, you beat up on shit teams for 15 rounds. I want to know what you did in finals. I want to know what you did on grand final day. I want to know what you did, were you the best of the final series. When Origin 1 and 2, fucking important, don't get me wrong, but the weighting in an Origin series shouldn't be 33, 33, 33 per game. When all the chips are in the middle and there is no tomorrow, that is the most important game by a country mile. Dearden came off the bench in game 1. I love that just because he was the biggest, he was the best player in the biggest moment of the series when everything was on the line. He deserves the Wally Lewis medal. And I absolutely love that decision.
He captured what Origin's about, didn't he? He made that tackle on To'o. He had the
2
try.
tackles on To'o that were incredible.
2 tries. In terms of moments, little moments, or just turning up. Like, Origin's not about big sweeping plays. And I think that's where New South Wales got it wrong. And we're going to go into that. But they just... And that's what scared the shit out of us. When we talked about it last week, it was like, if Hammer gets a half opportunity... They've got guys there that just play.
Yep.
And they just don't wait. They don't wait for the moment. They make the moment. And your point about what you do, it's when you do it that matters.
Yep.
He had a sense of, I was just going to always turn up. I was just always going to be there and make sure that, I always say, like, in the frame, I'll just be there just in case. Just in case that ball comes back to me, or when he made that tackle on Toto and flicked it back, I think it was Loiero or Cotter or someone that jumped on the ball. Like, it becomes infectious.
Yep.
It becomes infectious to the point where, fuck, he's running across there to get that tackle. I'm going to go there too, and then you can see that Billy's coached like that as well. So, and I think Madge had a little bit of that last year, but Tom Dearden, what a fantastic player. It's funny, Edric Lee, I was sitting with him last night. He said, oh, mate, we're typical Queenslander. He's sort of like, well, we haven't really got many players in form. And I said, mate, Tom Dearden's in form. He's like, what do you mean? I said, mate, I watch Tom Dearden every week. He's in form, don't you worry about that. And then you got Cameron Munster. Like, I was pumping up Queensland more than he was. But he deserved man of the series. Really interesting now what happens on this Ashes tour, whether he and Munster are the 7 and 6 or not.
Well, it'll be interesting to see who the coach is too.
If it's Cam Smith or if it's Bill, can Billy Slater do it, or you can't do it if you're an Origin?
I've got no idea. I don't know if there are rules in place for it, but
I think if Wayne does it, it might be Dearden and Munster.
Yeah, well, I think that you, without a doubt, have to take. Like, Dearden has to be on that tour.
Well, he'll be the 14 at worst.
At absolute worst. We'll get into that conversation soon. But Dearden, I just want you to keep this in mind, guys. Like, Nath Cleary won his first premiership in 2021, and this isn't about Nath. I'm just using it
not yet
for time's sake. 2021, Nath Cleary wins his first premiership. Which does it seem that long ago? 2021.
No.
No. That was the same year the Broncos went, we do not want Tom Dearden. Let him go somewhere else.
Who'd they have at the time?
Was it Brodie Croft they had there at Brisbane, or was that after or whatever? But it was 2021 that Brisbane went, he's not in our future plans.
Was that when Siebes was the coach?
Think so.
Yeah. I wonder if Kevy was obviously, in hindsight, you know what you're going to get, but
it was not that long ago that, once again, I can't emphasise enough, the Brisbane Broncos said, we do not want this guy here.
Todd Payton, the Cowboys.
And look at where he is now.
Oh yeah, is that guy? He's just...
Yeah. And I also want you to keep in mind with Tom Dearden that he's man of the series this year, well deserved. If you had to pick a best player for Queensland last year, I thought it was Tom Dearden by a distance. Yeah, so that's now 2 Origin series in a row. He's been the best ball player in the series, and at least in one of the series, he didn't even play all 3 games. He's 24 years old.
Is he only 24?
Yep. He was 19 when all that shit happened. This is what I'm saying. Like, people don't appreciate how much Tom Dearden has done and where he's at and how scary it is watching him over the next few years. Like, mate, I'll be honest with you.
Well, there was a conversation.
Is he even a halfback? Like, is he actually a halfback, or is he just, hey, we need someone to play this role to fit with Munster? Do your best.
Yeah. Well, I think he's a half. I don't know if he's a halfback, but
he's a half. But he's not a genuine halfback.
No.
Yeah.
But he's, in ways, he's like Munster. He can beat you so many different ways. He doesn't have one, like the show go, obviously, but he's a great defender. He can kick the ball. He can ball play. So he's
I think
never brought up in conversations.
I know, it's insane.
He's never brought up in like the top halves of the game.
And the Cowboys are stoked.
Oh yeah.
That he's
When's he
not
off
in those
contract,
conversations.
Cat?
I think that didn't the Dragons make a big play for him and the Cowboys just re-signed him to a long-term deal, I think.
He's got to be on a mil plus.
He's contracted to the end of 2029.
Well, yeah.
Very well done by the Cows. But yeah, Tommy did. Full credit to him. The other thing I loved about last night from him, mate, was, it's probably something that you've opened my eyes up to a lot more over the last few months, is just the kick selection throughout the entire night was just perfect.
They miskicked a few early, which sort of found the middle of the field. And I said, not whether it was a tactic, because I think they were trying to kick to a corner, but geez, it isolated Dylan Edwards a little bit.
I didn't think that they were miskicks, those
No,
ones.
that's what I mean. The first one
right.
I thought was, I was like, oh shit, Munster's hit that, and then I was like, oh, they're actually kicking to the middle here because they know they've got the baseball bats out for play 2.
Yeah.
And To'o had a fantastic game in terms of his run meter. I think he had 269.
Yeah.
But Dylan Edwards had to have 32 runs. And I reckon, correct, I might be wrong, and someone might say you're just making shit up here, but I reckon they watched the Bulldogs game where Bulldogs kicked to Edwards a lot.
Yep.
And they tried to go after him and fatigue him. I think he had 16 runs in the first half.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, he was almost wobbly boot. But Dylan Edwards is so fit, it probably can't tell as much. But I reckon it was a plan last night to try and isolate that, get Lomax and To'o to come in either side. They have to pick one side. They went short side a lot. Lomax has to go, well, I'm not getting it this time, and he goes back out. Whereas if you kick the Lomax, you get Edwards play 2, you get To'o,
yeah.
and then you probably get Lomax again. So, Jesus, good.
Yeah, it was. Their game plan as a whole was so impressive. Even when you look at the first half, mate, like you got to half time, and I've got it written down somewhere, but I think it was Payne Haas, Reece Robson, Liam Martin, Isaiah Yeo, and there was one other who had all made more than 27 tackles. The most tackles made for Queensland at halftime was Trent Leary, who was on 23. Like, they just absolutely fucking gassed us out in the first half. And I thought it was genius with their kicking game as well, just to continuously keep the ball in play.
Were they 22 from 22?
Yeah, their first...
They went front door early. So with Papali'i, they went bang, bang, crash through, kick, bang, bang, crash through, kick. Then when the game was right, when the fatigue set in, they were able to move New South Wales to the point where they'd go bang, 2 passes wide. And, mate, you watch Stefano. Like, Stefano came on, to be fair, I mean, I know we've gone at loggerheads about this. I thought it was his best game.
I thought it was by far and away. I think people bagging him online just don't like the selection. I've been very critical. I wouldn't have picked him. I said he shouldn't have been there, but I thought he had a try-saving tackle. I loved the first run off the kickoff, second half. That's where I finally sat back and went, okay.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've seen it, to be honest with you, but I can see it.
But they'd go Papali'i in, they'd go straight to the other side. Like, this is where they got this thing. Then by the time you brought Spencer on, I thought Spencer might have been first drop. Like, rip and tear. But you saw Stefano, like, he came on and his first stint was good, but then just before half time when Harry scores, he was gassed. He was not getting off the line, and that came in the fatigue. And he came on, 20 minutes in or 16 minutes in or something like that. So we spoke about the game plan, but Queensland just held possession. They kept the ball in play. They thought, well, everything's talked about the back 5 for New South Wales and how powerful they are. Well, let's see if you can do it 30 times, coming off your own line, and we'll just hang in there, which is what we've said on this podcast so many times, is hang in there, and you're going to get a shot. But they defended really well. I'm just trying to find their missed tackles. I don't think they had many missed tackles either, Queensland.
Just while you're having a look for that as well, we've already sort of spoken about him, and I don't want to skim over it, but mate, that try from Harry Grant,
oh God, it was fucking annoying.
Fucking annoying, but my God, like, you talk about moments where guys just want it more. He had no right to score that try in any way, shape, or form. He pretty much barged over.
They missed
3 of our
35
best
tackles.
defenders. They missed what?
35 tackles. They had 30 ineffective.
If you go and have a look at the stats, there really isn't that much in the two sides. Like, it's
11 errors to 2.
which is once again frustrating because we walk away from it. And you know what the other good thing is there too, and I'll just double check it. But if you have a look at the penalty count, which is
7-3.
Our way?
Queensland- No, sorry, our way. Ruck infringements 2-1. And Ash's first one was in the 39th minute for ruck infringements. And this is the sentence I'll say about this, about the referee. Well done, Ash. Got to ref all three like that. Not saying that's why we lost at all, but can't change. This is why coaches get frustrated towards the back end of the year. Because in grand finals, semi-finals, big games, the whistle goes away and the players decide it. But all through the year, 3 coaches have lost their jobs. There's been decisions that have been made, all that kind of stuff. So, Queensland always found a way. If you go back and watch it from being live again, hopefully I'm right in this, and I think you'll confirm it is. New South Wales, even though they missed less tackles, they missed the tackles that they missed were at crucial stages where they had a good set, and then all of a sudden Shibasaki crashes through for a quick play the ball, or Papali'i came back on a quick play the ball, Kurt Mann or Kurt Capewell, which negates the whole good set. Because now, instead of getting back there and getting set, you're not in a place where you can dominate that field position now. You've lost momentum. That one play, you've lost momentum. And that put New South Wales on the back foot to where Edwards had 32 carries. 32 times he got Risso last night because they would kick chase, keep the ball in play, kick chase, keep the ball in play.
Fucking hell. Munster, Grant did. Is there anyone else you want to touch on?
I just thought, geez, that's a telling one. Dummies. I've never seen that stat before.
Is that on NRL.com?
Dummy passes.
Queensland win that by a distance.
27-1.
Queensland had 27 dummies.
27 dummies to New South Wales 1, which to me is ball runners, not ball players. We have ball. I'm going to save that.
Yeah. I think the other thing with me that we sort of said pre-show, and it is a point that I want to make, and I think that the Dolphins have done it to me a number of times this year. I think the Bulldogs have done it to me a number of times over the last 2 years, but we'll get to them, but they're sort of going in the opposite direction all of a sudden. It is a simple game made complicated as shit consistently, and I thought Queensland last night came out with a game plan to compete high and complete high and compete on everything.
Yep.
And that was their game plan. That's all we are going to do. We're going to turn the ball over where we want them to return. If they're too good coming out of there, so be it.
Isn't that Origin though?
Well, it should be.
Loz only used 6 changes.
We'll get to it. But I love the way that Queensland just went in and said, hey, we're going to keep it simple and we're just going to hold our hand in the fire
Make
longer.
them beat us.
Make them beat us.
Don't beat ourselves.
100%, yes.
Sounds like Wayne Bennett plan A. Should we take a Neds break? Get the Panadol out. The next half hour might be 2 hours.
Okay. Now, we've spoken about the Queensland Maroons and their game plan and everything, and there's a good chance we might talk about for New South Wales long here, and I'll give you the hot tip. It's because we care heaps more about it, if I'm completely honest. And 2, there is more to talk about. Queensland were the better side this series. They 100% deserve it. Once again, when you do things has to matter, when all the chips are in the middle, Queensland were the better side. No denying it. I fucking can't look at yous. I can't stand yous. I congratulate you. Let's get into our side.
Sorry, before you go.
Yep.
100% berserker. The only thing that made me smile last night was Tommy getting the cue cut into his head.
Yes, very good gear.
That made me a little bit happy.
Yeah, it was funny.
But
they had some crack.
I'm on your side, Tommy, and I can't wait to see you soon. But that made me,
Yeah, that was a good time. Unreal. All right. We've spoken about the Queensland Maroons and their game plan. What was New South Wales' game plan for you? What did you... Because I thought the first 4 minutes opened up really nicely. They were moving the ball from sideline to sideline. They had Shibasaki on ice skates in the first 4 minutes. They were doing what they needed to do. Both edges were on fire. They had Queensland moving. And then we put in a kick from Jerome Luai that I don't know why he was the man kicking it in that moment. It was a 7-tackle set. And I feel like from that moment on, New South Wales was just in scramble mode. It was fight for survival, try and keep our head above water, whereas Queensland just had it sitting in neutral. What did you say?
Yeah, I agree with that. It wasn't Jerome's best kick, and that moment from there, we lost the next 10 minutes of momentum.
Yep.
I thought he could have run it, but I was watching it live, so I don't really have a perspective of when a chance of slowing it down, and it looks a lot slower on TV in terms of what it is there.
Yep.
So I just thought that would have been a chance early to just go to Latrell and just one-on-one.
And I think the set later, I believe it was, or maybe it was set before, Latrell put a kick in from about 30 minutes out. That was another situation where I thought, let's just run.
Yeah.
Let's just take them on. We've got them on the ropes here.
That's what I said, the dummies are ball runners.
Yes. Yep.
Ball runners, not ball players, or essentially trying to score. I don't know if we were trying to score on every single play, but it felt like we had shape on every single play instead of Queensland just bashing the door down and what you said.
Yep.
We're going to complete high and we're going to compete on everything. That kick turn momentum, obviously, Lowy come up and in and missed that. And was it a forward pass?
On which one, sorry?
Shibasaki to Coates, that first try?
I don't think so.
Yeah. People were blowing up online. I didn't see.
I didn't think of that at the time.
Yeah. So.
Fuck, that was tough because Zach made the right decision, just executed wrong.
Yeah, and that was the story of our night.
Yes.
We made
Yeah.
a lot of right decisions.
He actually made a cracking decision in that moment. It was the perfect thing to do, just didn't execute on.
execution. And same, probably Trell, Jerome, right decision to kick
Yep.
there. But the other part for me was what was our theme for the series? Because Madge Maguire came in last year and they leant back into that 85, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
We had the best team on paper, which means sweet FA. But what was our theme of our attack? Because the front door policy of Cleary playing like Katoa, he was getting the ball first, and I'll let you bring up your stats so I don't snake you, but we didn't see Yo in the first game at all as that ball distributor.
Yep.
Game 2, when New South Wales came back, we didn't see it. Last night, I felt like it looked like Penrith, which we haven't played like that.
Yep.
Which is either a coaching thing, the messages, or the players trying to change it on the run. But surely after game 1, I reckon Nathan's attacked like Izzy this year a little bit with Penrith. They've gone, right, well, we can't keep going at the back. People have got enough film on us that this year. Let's get Nathan with his hands on the ball a little bit more and dictate to where he wants to finish. That's what we did in game 1. Game 2 and 3, well, game 2 was we were on the back foot from the start. But game 3, we didn't do that.
Yep.
We started going out the back and trying to beat them to the corner instead of getting them to come up. Like, you think about the tries in Perth, it was because we'd done the work in the middle. And we'd held them in the middle, and there's some great passes from Latrell. But the difference was when Latrell batted on, geez, that's a great skill, by the way. It's fucking ridiculous how skillful he is at
Insane
that.
how easy he makes it look. It's fucked up.
But Queensland were just racing to a corner to get there because we hadn't fatigued them enough in the middle.
Yeah.
I just couldn't understand the general gist of what our attack was this series.
Yeah. And just to show, what Sowie just mentioned there. So last night, Isaiah, he had 29 touches of the football. He had 18 passes. He ran for 118 run meters. He played the entire 80 minutes. You go back to game 1, which was, in my opinion, by far and away our most dominant game of the series. Isaiah Yo only played 56 minutes.
Yeah.
He ran for 146 run meters. This is the fucking kick in the dick that kills me. 16 runs. He passed the ball 3 times.
They were playing front door.
Yep.
And the other part is, love Isaiah Yo.
Yep.
Not a bash up on him.
No.
Tried his absolute ring hole out. He played 80 minutes. He hasn't played 80 minutes all series. And go back, he's played 27 extra games over the last 5 years. We didn't have a chance to rip and tear and bring Hudson Young on in the first half and give Yo a spell. There was a set there where I thought, just take Yo. When it was 20-6, I thought, just give Yo 5 minutes here.
Yep.
Just give him 5 minutes, get Hudson on, a little bit of chaos around the ruck, and Yo come on and finish the game if you need him to. But in those moments, it's unfair to say you stop coaching, but you go back to what you trust. We needed to make a change. The formula was there.
Mate, the formula was there. We had the formula. That's what frustrates me so much in that we sat here on this show after game 1 and went, how fucking good Isaiah Yo playing like a middle forward, taking them forward and letting the halves do their job. I don't understand how at no point last night there wasn't a message sent down that said, hey, what the fuck are we doing? We wrote the blueprint. We know what to do here. Why are we going back to what we were doing 2 years ago that we know doesn't work? Why in the biggest moment do we go away from what works for us? I can't make sense of it. And if there was a message sent out there, and like, how do these guys not identify something is very different there from what we've done previously? That's what I don't get, and we'll get to it soon. But that's where your ball players that are in charge of the game plan, I can't make sense of why there wasn't a live adaptation. The other thing that shit me, watching the first half, I don't know what it looked like out there, but every time we go left, Queensland's shooting up. Put a kick in behind. Put him in 2 minds. Fucking just do anything. Why
One-on-one
the
steal.
fuck?
You've got me. I could not agree 1 billion% more.
What they were doing was working. So you've got to do something to counteract that. And we just never did it. It took us 70 minutes to start to kick him behind and fucking shock me. Brian Toto scores off it.
Yeah, but we had the formula in game 2.
It's
Crichton
just so
got the first try. Toto got the first try, and then Crichton got a try in game 2 doing that, where they look out the back and they go, different fullback, but yeah, we had the answers there.
Like, mate, I'm sorry, but I can see Ivan sitting at home in his lounge going, kick the fucking football. There is space there constantly. You're playing into their hands consistently, and we didn't respond. We didn't adapt in any way, shape, or form.
Is that coach or player?
I was going to ask you that because you probably know better than me, but I personally think at origin level, when you're playing out the back and guys are up in your face every single time and choking down your best players, I think some of it's got to go to player.
Yeah, I again, and I preface my comments by saying I was at the game, which I love being able to go to the game, but I love watching it on TV. I just thought our spine looked disconnected.
Yes.
I thought 9-7-6-1. We individually we tried really hard to get it, but we didn't all try. We didn't all just go, oh, you're right. Like, what are we doing when we get to here? How do we get there? It's like, I think Nathan had, in terms of all his runs, he had a shitload of runs, I felt like.
Shitload of runs, but they weren't the same as Tom Dearden's runs.
Like, he had 18 runs.
Yep.
See what I mean? And that felt like.
And tell me when he looked threatening last night.
Well, he looked threatening in game 1 when he had the ball first. When he's at the back, it felt like that we were disorganised in what we're doing. We're trying to get the ball to Latrell and Critter.
Yep.
But in game 1, when we did that, it was all front door stuff. Yeah, we bang down the door and then we just go Nathan drift across, and then you play at the back to either Dill or Mitch or Jerome, and then they make the play. Whereas this time it was just too slow. Queensland were moving too fast. So the spine looked disconnected. And there has to be some responsibility on the coach as well, because he's making the calls. He's that from a bird's eye point of view. I totally get it. If it was a percentage, 80-20 player has to come up with, and guys that have won 4 premierships together, they know each other's game better than we know each other, better than than anyone else knows it. So, but there has to be some sort of coaching point as well.
To that point, and I say this with absolute all due respect, if Laurie Daly didn't send that message down, doesn't overly shock me. I refuse to believe that Craig Bellamy is sitting in that box and didn't identify that. I refuse to believe that Craig Bellamy wasn't able to identify that, and there wouldn't have been a message sent down at some point. And if I'm wrong, I'll wear it.
But
100%.
is Craig in the box to do that? Isn't he? I don't think he's in the box.
Well, fuck, if you got Craig Bellamy in your box and you're not utilising him like that, that's another thing that's gone wrong in my opinion. Once again, I think those are the little things that Laurie Daly misses at times, and I can't fathom. Mate, for me, sitting on the couch last night, I'm sitting there going, I'm screaming at the TV, put in a kick, put him in 2 minds, do something different. I don't understand how, and if you're right, sweet, but I just can't imagine Craig Bellamy, one of the great competitors of coaching we've ever seen, just sitting there quietly in his mind thinking, no, this is good. Let's keep doing this. I can't. And between the 6 dudes sitting in that box, I don't understand how that message wasn't relayed down there, and that's what makes me wonder if the Blues out there just didn't react. What's your understanding of why Craig Bellamy's in there then, just out of interest? What's your...
I thought he was in there from a point of view, not like obviously tactically during the week, but I don't think it was in terms of like, I don't know if it was like directions about what to do in the game as such, because you've got...
Sorry, do you find that if that is true?
No, I
do you not find that insane?
I don't know. I just know that I heard
that Laurie Daly hasn't coached a game of footy in 4 or 5
shout
years.
out Chamis and Weidler on their pod. They had Frank Panisi talk last week. I don't know if you heard it or not.
I didn't. No.
And Frank spoke about like Craig's, like Laurie's put his ego aside to listen to Craig, but Craig's also enjoyed the fact that he's not. Like it's been a different challenge for him not to be the main voice. So that sort of made me think like how much input, because if you're coaching and I'm your assistant, you've got another assistant there and another there and like there, but then Craig's sort of saying over the top, like I don't know what that dynamic would be, but I'd struggle to think that he's
and
calling things like.
I understand what you're saying there, but if I'm the coach and I've got an assistant, I'm trying to think the assistants in there. Brett White's one.
Brett White, Matt King, Dean Young.
Okay. So you haven't named me someone that's coached in the NRL yet.
Yeah.
I've got Craig Bellamy, who's one of the greatest minds the game has ever seen, who actually coaches week to week and has been for 20 years and would understand the game so much more than Laurie Daly, the modern game. I understand where you're coming from. I can't fathom why you would be lucky enough to have Craig Bellamy in there.
Maybe he did, and the players just couldn't get it on, mate.
That's what I'm leaning towards, to be honest with you. Because, mate, did you need Craig Bellamy last night to address, hey, they're shooting up? Let's throw something different at them?
No.
I know all of my 6 mates that understand footy were messaging me the exact same
thing. Your mates
thing.
are Brandon Smith now.
Didn't appreciate that. Wasn't nice from Cheese. I was really up in my feels.
I got a little bit jealous.
Did ya?
Well, I was like, well, he's already got a podcast. If he's replacing,
I'm sitting there trying to
sweet and
record
sour
something.
with the
I'm
cheese.
fucking broken. I'm trying to talk. Then all of a sudden, someone just starts banging
He's such
on
a
the
great
glass.
guy, isn't he? I love Brandon.
And in my head, I'm like, oh, this is fucking Timmy. Just open the door, and he's like, Queenslander, and I'm like, oh, get the fuck away from me, please. But I just thought it was such an obvious thing that needed to be adjusted. I don't.
So let's move. You're right. All right. Let's just say you're right. Cleary, Jerome, Edwards have been in moments like that before where they've worked it out.
Yep.
So you would expect them to work it out together.
Yep.
They didn't. We looked like. I know you said we went side to side and we felt like we had some ascendancy early. I thought the total opposite.
Okay. Yep.
I thought early on we looked like we missed the start. Like people, and I was interested to hear your point. And again, I was live, but I felt like at the ground we missed the start as like it wasn't. It's gotta be careful. No, I'm just gonna fucking say it. Is it hostile to come to Sydney,
mate? 1, no. 2,
because I felt like when I
fucking worried about saying that. I think it's blatant. Everyone I've spoken to was at the game last night was like, it was quiet. There wasn't much doing there
because it's so far back.
Yeah. Like, mate, I've said before, if I was to go to, like, mate, when I walk into the Caxton up there, I'm like, for Magic Round, I'm like, oh, I don't feel overly comfortable. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Where are people coming?
It's
like,
funny.
You know what I mean?
Just to break the ice a little bit here, but you know how you keep the footies when you kick in the crowd?
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone's going to have to keep 200 metres to get it to us and Blashy's Blues at the end.
Yep. If you're in a good seat.
Yep. So you're no chance if you're 15
it's not
back.
a cauldron. It's not made for rugby league.
No.
They're not on top of it. Mate, I was at the SFS the other day, Sunday afternoon. Tigers, Roosters, the Swans were on next door. Half of Sydney was there. There was 24,000 they put on the crowd. I don't know if I buy that, but it was mad. It was atmosphere. They were on top of you.
I
think they counted limbs
said
when
to
they
you,
counted
because you asked me,
24,000.
you said, how was it? And I said, I felt like we missed the start. And you said, oh, that's interesting because we moved. I said, yeah, we made a lot of breaks, but I felt like it was flat from the fans. I felt like it was flat from New South Wales in terms of, the moment from the 7 tackles, yes, okay, huge moment. Little moment at the time, huge moment at the end, okay? But we never looked comfortable in the fact of rolling down the middle and knew what we were going to get to with our points.
Yep.
Queensland looked disciplined. And then their moment, when Hammer picks up the ball, like we're taking him into touch, and he just throws it back, and then everyone stops.
Yep.
And then the other moment, for which you said, I listened to your pod this morning, like the Critter kick. Yeah. Yep. Critter and Latrell had 2 kicks where I reckon if they'd got more ball throughout the series, they just run it. But we didn't get the ball to them.
That moment with Critter.
Well, Hudson Young was offside.
He was caught offside, and that's fine.
I was
I
like,
get that.
Hudson stopped. Oh, no,
Yeah.
he's offside. But that was Origin, essentially.
When Xavier Coates picked up the ball and they went on the reverse angle, if you have a look at that thing I posted on Instagram, look at our players in the background. You can see Connor Watson, and it's only a split second or two, but you can just see in their body movements, Connor Watson is going a bat out of hell. And the other guys, and I understand Connor Watson's fresh is on the field. I get that. We're playing for our fucking lives in Origin.
20-6.
20-6. We've scored. We're kind of back in the game. There's enough time to do something. We've just had our centre come up with. By the way that Stephen Crichton has done those kicks over the last years in big games is fucking unbelievable.
Well, he Mentro.
Yeah, but that one in particular from Crichton.
It looked long.
It looked long, but, you always say it on this podcast. If you're the kicker, let me do the kick. You just chase.
Yep.
And they didn't. They didn't. They all looked at it and went, it's probably going long.
Yep. Yeah.
And you saw Connor Watson. He's crabbing, waiting. Where's the body?
Sprayed
Where's the
someone,
body?
didn't he?
I'm sure he sprayed all of them.
Yeah.
But that should have been a forced dropout, and we get the ball back, and we keep rolling. We keep the pressure on.
And I think, that was not when we looked our most comfortable, because that's not going to sound right, but when we were a little bit unorganised, chaotic, sort of passing second phase, that was when we looked okay. But again, no runners off the back of that. Whereas Queensland, when they got an offload one shift, bang, run, or dummy run, or did and Munster, and for New South Wales to get down in that red zone so many times, I felt like if we got the 2012, I thought we were going to win. And that was just genuine because I thought momentum, crowd will get into it.
Yep.
But that moment there, we didn't kick chase. That's stuff that if you take for granted, you get burnt.
And this is, I said it last night on my thing, but more and more this theme that Queensland are pushing that we just pick players that keep moving. A couple of years ago, I thought, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I'm not listening to this shit from you clowns again, but
it's true.
It's true. It's fucking spot on. They don't stop moving. They pick guys like Pupley, like Lindsay Collins, who I'm looking at Clubland going, they're not the best middles in their team, but they don't stop moving. And Billy just knows that he's going to get that, and it's those moments that decide Origin. I love Angus Crichton, Wally Lewis medal last year, but as you said, that ball gets offloaded, he stops for a split second, and it's gone. And there goes Origin.
Yeah. He's half a step behind Hammer.
Mate, with all due respect to him, we should be catching Kurt Capel out in those moments all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Laterally, he is so slow, but he never stops.
Yeah. Well, that was another big decision from Billy. He's
Huge
missing
decision.
6 tackles a game, and
Both Fermor or Kurt Capel.
Yeah.
I'm at times looking at the Warriors going, I don't know if Kurt Capel should start in that side. Billy Slater picks him because he knows he's just going to do a job and he's just going to keep moving his feet.
How many carries do you think the back three had?
Toto would have had 23. Dill would have had high 20s, 29. Lomax would have had 22. What are we looking at? 64 or something?
78.
Fuck that. My God. That's insanity.
78 carries between the three of them for...
By the way, I know he had
500,
errors.
650, 750 metres. So they essentially got all our metres.
I know he had errors, but Brian Toe just shows once again why he's different to wingers before.
Well, just to put it in context, I think they had 800 and something metres. We had 1893. We won the metre battle. Post-contact, all that kind of stuff. But Brian Tuttle, injury all week, found a way to play. And his carries are when we're going nowhere.
Yeah, well,
It's 269 when we're going nowhere.
Let me explain to you exactly how true that is. Dill Edwards had 32 runs. He ran for 270 run metres. Of that, 153 of them were kick return metres. Toto had 7 less runs, ran for 1 less metre, and had half the amount of kick return metres.
No line breaks to the point where he'd run like 50 metres.
Like, it's insane. He does this. He does this every week, but then he gets to big games and he goes, "Oh, let me get in the phone box and put the fucking cape on, and I'll just go to another level again." He's a freak.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he'll be the Brad Fittler medalist. They call it Brad Fittler medal.
Oh,
for
mate,
New South Wales.
without a doubt. If any, who else could you even put in the conversation for that? Realistically, Payne Haas, would be up there.
Yeah.
But mate, Toto's been like. Did I hear them say in the comms last night? Brian Toto, he scored 5 tries in this series. I think that's equal for most tries in a series. That's incredible.
Yep.
He was amazing. All right, let's do it. I said at the start of the series, when everyone was available, Mitch Moses would be my halfback. I thought Nath Cleary had really turned a corner after game 1. I thought people were overly critical of Nath Cleary, and I didn't understand why after game 1. I thought he played well. I thought he turned a corner. We get to last night, mate, and I once again find myself watching New South Wales side going, whose team is this? Who's in control of this football side? Hot tip, the only time I haven't done that over the last few years was in the last 2 games of last series where Mitch Moses came in and said, "This is my football team." I said at the start of the series, Mitch Moses is 31 years old. That matters. You're in total control. I remember watching you when you won a comp, you're on top of the world, you're killing it. When you're at Penrith a few years later and you're in your 30s, completely different footballer. You're in control of the side. Mitch Moses at that point now. Nath Cleary, he does it in clubland. There's no denying that whatsoever. But in Origin, he just simply hasn't done it yet. And it's shitting me, mate, that we get to every Origin series and I say, why is it absolutely his jersey? And I get called a hater, I get called all this shit. I don't understand why this guy has a constant mortgage on this jersey, that it is always guaranteed to be yours. No one can touch it. No one can talk about it. Mitch Moses gets one opportunity to come in, backs against the wall, down 1-0, no games in Sydney, and gets it done. Yet we still can't talk about that this jersey might not go to Nath Cleary. I think it is ridiculous, and I think at some point we need to sit back and go, okay, Origin is about winning series, not about building the legacy of Nathan Cleary. His time will come. By the time he's 31, I have no doubt whatsoever he will be the guy in the arena. No doubt at all. But for me, heading into next year, Mitch Moses has to be my halfback. Actually doing things has to matter more than what you potentially can do. And I think it's the mistake we just keep on making. Talk to me.
You make a great argument there. I think, firstly, I can understand the fact that we pick 2 months out that Nathan will be the halfback and there's no, not secrecy, but competition for that. I think that's a place where we have to get to, especially with Izzy Katoa the next year or two. Have you got him out of the side, or you want him just?
No, he'd be my 6. He's a generational player. He's a great player. And what's the career highlight of Nathan Cleary at the moment?
23.
Who was the halfback in that 20-minute period?
Who? Cogger.
There's nothing wrong with being a generational player and playing 5'8". Joey played hooker during Origin and was great at it. There's nothing wrong with that because Brett Kamali was the better fit at the time.
So essentially, what you're saying is, you just don't think it's his team.
I don't think he is ready, and I think at the moment he's a little bit inside his own headed from the scars.
I agree with that,
and I just think.
But are we responsible for that? The whole narrative of Nathan.
Oh mate, it's professional rugby league. It's state of origin. He is going to be one of the greatest players of all time.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of a cop out personally.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is, are we responsible for the fact that the whole week we talked about this one, Nathan having to own this Origin series? If they had won and he played okay, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Winning matters.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't
winning
do enough
matters.
of it.
Yeah, okay.
And
he's
me personally,
he's 8-8.
Okay,
in
how's he
Origin.
going in deciders?
He's won 3 series. Yeah, he's 0-4. Is he 0-4?
Yeah. When it matters, he hasn't been able to control Origin, mate, and that's my big concern. Mitch Moses had one opportunity at it, grabbed it by the collar and owned it. There was at no point when you were watching that team last year, you go, "Oh, is it Luai's team? Is it Mitch's team? Is it Yo's team?" He would have said to Yo, "You go fucking forward. It's my team. You do what I tell you to do." They got out there last night and it was evident something was going wrong, whether it was the kicks early they had to put in behind line, the way Isaiah Yo was played. Nath Cleary got tackled, I think it was 3 times on 4th tackle. You
18
have
carries.
the best kicking game in the world. We need you in the big moments to have your hand on the ball. And that is planning your set to know where you want to finish it and what kick you want to have on the end of it.
That's part of them trying too hard individually, though.
Sure.
I think. Like, I
And that comes down to a little bit of immaturity for me that I don't think Mitch Moses has in him.
Yeah.
I think and 3 years ago, Mitch Moses couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But I think that we look at Nathan, what he's achieved, and he's one of the greatest players we've ever seen, yeah? There's no arguments there for me. But in Origin, you've got an option to pick a 31-year-old halfback who's at the peak of his powers and has shown that he has done it. Pick him. It's okay for Nath to wear 6. We're not going to hurt his feelings. Hot tip. All Nath Cleary wants to do is lift fucking Shields for New South Wales. You can see it. It's not through a lack of trying. I just don't think he's mentally at the point right now where he is ready to take control of this side completely.
Could you hear an argument, 35 tackles, so fatigue, not an excuse, an argument around the injuries catching up with him the last 5 years of football to the point where maybe they do need to like protect him from himself a little bit and not have that mental toll of being the 7 and being in the 6?
Should have done it a while ago, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think that's very fair, mate. He's put his body through the
I
absolute
could
ringer
hear
last
that. I can't hear that the whole blame is on Nathan.
I'm not putting the whole blame on Nathan. Don't twist what I'm saying. But the reality is the halfback of the side has to be in control of the side, in my opinion. And he simply wasn't. We were rudderless in that game. And if you're mate, if he wins that game, even if they just win, he doesn't have to be great. I go, well done, Nath. You directed the team. You did your job. You did what you needed to do because he's the halfback. When you're losing that game, there is some responsibility you have to take. My thing with Nath, I love that after the 2020 grand final, cast your mind back to it. He throws an intercept to Vunivalu, I believe. Doesn't have a great game. He comes out after, he says, my fault. I fucked that. That's on me. And what I loved about Nathan that moment is that you saw the competitor after that. Premierships weren't promised. Grand final appearances weren't promised. He came out and won the next 4 grand finals in a row. They weren't promised. He knows at the end of every Origin series, that's my jersey. It's my jersey. I know it is. I know I'm going to get it every time. I would love to see coach next year, whether it's Laurie Daly, whoever, I assume it'll be Daly again, come out and say, hey, halfback jersey's wide open. It's anyone's. I'd even love to see him go, I'm going to go with Mitch, and I'd love to see the response out of Nath.
Yeah,
Because he's one of the best competitors I've ever seen, Nath Cleary. There's no question marks around that for me. I just think they need to challenge him. They need to get a result out of him.
Can I ask you this?
Yep.
Why is any spot guaranteed? Because not just the 7, but why is any spot guaranteed? We lost the series. So we have to look at from scratch.
Sure.
Did we do the camp right? Did we pick the right team? Did we get the balance right of subs, all that kind of stuff? To use only 6 subs, that's obviously another thing as well.
Yeah.
How do you pick your Origin team? If you're the coach.
If I'm the coach, I think what you do in the Origin arena matters more to me than what it does to other people, seemingly. And what you just said there, you know, other spots are up for grabs. They are. We negotiate about every other jersey pretty much on the team outside of Payne Haas, who's the best front row in rugby league.
This is what I'm getting to. So how do you pick your team?
I would pick it firstly around my spine and the way that I want to play my football. And I think right now, the spine they've picked, they've played 3 different brands of football across 3 games of footy.
So, you've picked your spine and how you want to play your football, which is what they did for game 1.
Yep.
Front door.
Yes.
Yeah. So in the last 2 games, are we missing the fact that half 1 was an outlier in terms of ill discipline? Well, that's got nothing to do with Nathan and what he did in that game. Game 2, second half, steered the team around, gave Jerome ball, allowed them to attack. So I just don't want to get confused at the fact that last night, yes, Nathan will take the blame for that, and I know that he will. But for me, if they had the blueprint and they picked the spine for game 1, that was the blueprint. So there has to be some shared responsibility around the rest of the spine and the coach as well for not making those adjustments or not drilling down enough on being able to understand what we need to do.
But I think there also needs to be some, like, mate,
he's shouldered his responsibility, is what I'm saying. Like, he would know right now.
Oh, 100% he would, yeah.
But if you're picking your team off you can't pick your team off what happened in Origin last year.
Why not?
Well, they had that in game one, then he was injured. So we're having an argument about Mitch Moses, who wasn't fit for games 2 and 3. If he was fit for games 2 and 3, he would play games 2 and 3.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have been the halfback because they built the whole fucking series around Nathan Cleary. They said it 2 months before a ball was kicked.
Yeah, and that's
His team was coming last, remember? Mitch Moses wasn't doing much better, to be fair. But
so how do you pick your origin side? If you're the coach right now,
yeah.
and we're 12 months down the track, how do you pick your origin
Okay,
side?
I would start by saying, what's going to be the head of the snake here? Who do I want to be the guy that is dictating terms out on the field, that is making decisions, that when we have a team that is shooting up on us, who adapts to that? Who's the voice that goes, grabs Isaiah and goes, hey, what the fuck are you doing? We've got the game plan. We know what works. We need to adapt. And if they went in with a different game plan last night, as a ball player, I hear guys, and I'm sure you were the same, and I hear guys talk about that, during games that Joey, if it wasn't working, he would adapt and he'd grab you and say, hey, this is your fucking role. Do it. Don't let me down.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that from Nathan at the moment. I'm just not seeing it.
Do
from
you
him.
see it throughout the year?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Right. So that's where I'm getting to is we can't pick off last year's series if those guys aren't in form going forward next. And I think Nathan's been, the last 2 months, has been in good enough form, regardless of where his team's been, because Mitch Moses' team was down the bottom too. He's been in good enough form to be the 7 and to build around. And game 1 showed me that they had the right blueprint. We said that at the start of the show, that they had the right blueprint. Now, last night, sure, those moments, understanding those, kicking in behind, totally valid and totally agree with that. But at some stage, whether he's the 6 or the 7, I just want to win. I don't really care. But it's not solely placed on Nathan.
Yeah, I'm not solely placing it on Nathan, though, but you can't deny to me, mate, that the halfback isn't a crucial part. And I keep hearing, I just want to win. It's like, okay, then why don't we pick the guys that have shown they can handle that and they can step up?
But you've got to have
moments.
some sort of form. Like when I got picked, it was you had to have a big final series.
Yep.
Right? That was like bit like the old Sheffield Shield. You used to have to score 1,000 runs to be the opening batter for Australia, right?
Yep.
Like that, his form over the last 4 years dictates that he's the
In
7.
clubland.
The 7.
In clubland.
He doesn't play 30 origins.
Sure, but he's played enough for us to have a really good sample size by now.
Yeah.
Like, how many deciders does this guy have to lose before we go, maybe we need someone different to steer the ship? And we've got a guy who had one shot at it in Brisbane doing Mission Impossible, and he did it, and he dictated terms.
With a different coach and a different style.
Okay, so we're just going to keep picking him and just hope that it changes? Like,
I don't think you're hoping. I think you go with the sample size for Nathan being the elite halfback of the competition is a lot larger than other halfbacks.
yep.
Would you agree with that?
I agree with that in Clubland.
Yeah.
Also, the sample size of
But
him
you're
not
right.
being able to handle those big moments in Origin is enormous, mate.
Yeah, I know. Mate, he hasn't won a World Club Challenge either. Do you think that...
I don't give a fuck about that trial.
I'm just
but
saying,
yeah.
what I'm saying is, this: if you're going off a sample size of picking from Clubland, that has to mean something when you're picking your 7 for New South Wales. You can't just go, well, you can't get
But
the
I've
job
said
done.
to you 3 times, I base it a lot on what you do in Origin because it's a different beast. I think that's been very evident for a long time. Penrith have won 4 grand finals in a row, and New South Wales can't rub 2 sticks together and make something work. The only time we win is when the Parramatta halfback comes in and steers the shit around. Hot tip, who was his fullback? Dylan Edwards. Who was his lock? Isaiah Yeo. Who was his 5'8"? Jerome Luai.
Who was the coach?
Mike Maguire, sure, but I think we constantly make excuses because he's going to be one of the greatest players of all time. Yeah, I have no arguments about that whatsoever. But I think,
No disservice or disrespect to Mitchell Pearce, but we kept getting...
who are we going to pick over Mitchell Pearce?
No, I'm just saying, that if you're not going to pick over... Well, Moses was there, wasn't he, for a little while? At the back end?
Over Mitchell Pearce?
Mitch Moses? Wasn't he playing the same sort of time?
Sure, a 21-year-old version of Mitch Moses, not a 31-year-old.
Isaiah Cartolla's in the squad right now.
Yep.
Yeah. I haven't got the halfbacks off my list, but you can't just... I don't know. Maybe I'm sticking on the player side.
Mate, I'm not saying cast him out on a fucking... on a log out to the ocean and never come back. I'm saying pick him at 5'8". He's the best player in the game. He's going to be one of the greatest players we have ever seen. Clubland alone, he's done enough to be an immortal. We've had this argument. But, mate, it's like at some point we have to make a decision, and we have to make a decision about trying to win. And I think you need to, if you're lucky enough to have a guy like Mitch Moses out there, and, mate, I love Isaiah Cartolla. I haven't shut up about him for the last 2 years. Game one next year, I don't know if I want to throw a 22-year-old into the cauldron there when I've got Mitch Moses at 32. Like we all talk about this moment that Andrew Johns had. Hot tip, did it when he was in his in his 30s.
Yeah.
Cooper Cronk wins 3 grand finals in a row. What age was he at? Post 30. When did you play your best footy as an individual?
Mid-20s.
Fuck off, bullshit. I did. You were most in control as a footballer and ready to lead a team in your 30s.
In 30s, yeah. Well, I retired.
What you did for Penrith that year in 14,
remember?
sure, but what you did for Penrith in 14,
Yeah.
I don't think the version of you that won a comp with the Dragons, I don't think could have done that.
No, I agree with that.
Like, there's nothing like he's like every footballer that's ever existed. You get better as you get older because you see more, you learn more, you take more on. I think some time at 5'8" would be fantastic for Nath because I think you get a good understanding of how he wants to receive the ball and how it's played out the back and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And it would allow him to play his natural game. What's Nath's probably this series? What's been his biggest strength? Like what's the one thing that he did do last night?
He ran the ball.
He ran the football. Let Mitch Moses dictate terms, let him organise, let him move us around the park and just let Cleary play his game. And like have an override call. If Cleary sees something, he gets the fucking football. He's the best footballer on the planet.
Yeah, that didn't happen enough last night, did it?
No, it didn't.
It was we missed opportunities by trying too hard individually.
And I think at times he was trying too hard. And once again, this is what I go back to. He is the ultimate competitor. I love him. It would be so stupid for him to play for Penrith this weekend. I reckon he'll back up. I reckon he would have rang Ivan last night and said, fuck this, I need to make up for this shit. Because that's the sort of competitor he is. And I love that. I want him in my football team. And once again, in 4 years' time when he's 31, I have no doubt whatsoever he will be ready to be a halfback for New South Wales and he'll do great things. But right now, I just don't think he is ready for it. I think that maybe we scarred him by bringing him in too early, putting a lot of pressure on him.
Can I ask, how do you think that decision compares to like DCE being dropped and Tom Dearden coming in and playing this crucial halfback role for Queensland? Game one, he wasn't in that starting side initially. Is that not a sign, Billy Slater's adapting, he's going, it might not be on paper the most logical decision, but I know these guys know how to win. And what you're saying, Roo, is essentially kind of doing what Slater has done and playing that player that you just know can win in that environment.
Yeah, few different things with Dearden, though. He's obviously got Cam Munster next to him. I think it's just a huge safety blanket for anyone that's ever played the game. I think that the other thing with Dearden, which once again, he doesn't have the scars that Nath has.
Yeah.
Nath is carrying scars into every single game because he's the main dude every single time. Like his career would look very different if 3 years ago they got beat by 30 by the Broncos in the grand final. It's a very different situation. Jack Cogger comes on, is given a simple role, play direct and open space for Nath. And what does he do? Turns on the 20 best minutes of rugby league we've ever seen. There is nothing wrong with wearing the 6. There is nothing wrong with not having the keys in your hand. He will come up with the clutch moments if he's outside a ball player that puts him in good spots, in my opinion.
But that's kind of what I mean, in that maybe he is just better placed as supporting Mitch Moses.
Right now. Yes, because of where Mitch Moses is at in his career, in my opinion. Let me ask you this. We had our discussion at the start of the year.
Don't do it.
And it's funny how quickly all the comments change in a fucking heartbeat.
I am mentally fucking fatigued right now from you having 1,000,000 points because you're running on something that I'm not running on. You've been up late last night. You're right. I'm going to give that to you.
And once again, I'm not casting him out. I'm not putting the red Sharpie through him. It's just I just think it's just not his time right now, and I don't think it was his time to start this series either. And I'll tell you what, if we get to – it will not shock me in the slightest if we get to the series next year, we get to the end of it, he's got 6 on his back and he's got a Wally Lewis medal around his neck because you just take the pressure off him a little bit. Just let him play his natural game.
Right, what else have you got for me?
If we get through his career –
oh, fuck it. If you go – if you're turning down this one-way street –
I'm turning down this one-way street and I'm telling you what, I'm going to park my car sideways at the end of the street so you can't fucking get out. Does he have to have those moments in Origin to be an immortal? Like if it keeps going down this avenue, I think it's a conversation we have to have. I personally think it'll solve itself eventually. I've always said that. For all these fucking idiots in the comments, some of you hate Clear, I've always said he will turn the corner. There is no doubt in my mind whatsoever. But I think we're doing him a serious disservice at the moment by replaying the same fucking narrative every single year, doing the same thing, expecting different results. And I think at some point it's going to have to matter when you're talking about these legacy of Nath Cleary.
Just Sowie's body language right now, it says it all.
I took a stance at the start of the year that I already think he's an immortal. With what he's done. 2 Clive Churchills, 4 competitions, a World Cup winner. And I will respectfully.
So if his
stay
Origin
on that
career
island.
finished last night, you'd still be, an immortal?
It's won 3 series. It'd have to be a very long, strong.
Okay, we
case
just
of beer.
spoke about Cam Munster being in the top 10 Origin players. Clear in the top 20?
Of all time.
Yep, Origin players.
Probably not at this stage.
Top 30?
Oof.
Hot tip, it's not a definitive yes.
No, yeah. I can get there.
40?
I think he's in top 40.
Okay. I personally don't think
But immortal status isn't made off Origin.
it has to play a role.
But yeah, plays
Has to play a
plays
role.
a percentage. We still don't know definitively what part of the pie makes an immortal player because there's so many great players that are not there yet.
Yep.
In terms of Kenny, Lockyer, Sterling, yeah, like all those guys, like Smith, Thurston, Slater. Like, are they all going to be immortals?
Don't know. No one fucking knows. That's the hard thing about it. But with a guy that's achieved what Nath has achieved in clubland, I just think.
And I think that's the other thing as well. Your point of he's only 28.
Oh, mate, he's on hole 10.
He's going to play.
He's got forever to go.
How many Origins did Smith play? 42.
Yeah, something like that.
Like, he's on pace to play.
He'll probably give it a good nudge. Yep.
Yeah, close to that. So
Payne Haas will probably give that a good
the
nudge.
last chapter's probably still not written as definitive.
And what do you know about last chapters in rugby league with ball players?
They're the best.
Who's in their last chapter? I'll leave you with that. There's nothing wrong.
Can we make
with
a
the
promise?
second last chapter, adjusting your game a little bit? I know what that last chapter is going to look like. It's going to be dominant shit. I'm going to be the cockiest motherfucker sitting in this chair carrying on because it's a matter of time till he owns it. But I just don't think right now is the time. And you look at the way the careers pan out, I always say it like when the 2016 season finished, Cooper Cronk had just lost a grand final. He's one of the best players ever, no doubt. 30 onwards, 31 onwards, he wins 3 comps in a row across 2 teams. Nate's done that in his mid-20s in the NRL. Once you take the pressure off him and he's allowed to mature properly and really become an Origin 7, because I think there's a difference between being an Origin 7 and a Club 7. I think he's the best example of it of all time. Mate, the world's his oyster. And it's going to be a bad 3 years for Queensland. I have no doubt about it whatsoever. I don't know if you get there, though, if you keep throwing him in the fire and getting the same results.
I've conceded, mate. I don't know what else you want from me. I've given everything I have this morning.
The other side of it, you might disagree with this.
No,
I think, I genuinely think, mate, if we would have named Mitch Moses at 7 this year and Clear at 6, I think it would have worried Queensland more going into that series. I couldn't think of anything worse than taking on a Nath Cleary where he doesn't have to be the main guy and he can just play what's in front of him and take the pressure off his back.
I guess we'll see next year when you're
We
sitting
probably
beside
fucking
Laurie.
won't, but we probably won't, unfortunately.
We'll never know until next year.
And just to back up my example, if Mitch Moses is injured or unavailable next year, I would go Nath Cleary at 7 over Isaiah Katoa still because I think he is the more matured guy in that position. I think that matters for me.
Do you think they win last night if it's status quo from game 1?
What do you mean?
Like the halves and the whole makeup of the series and
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, I don't know whether.
Like, the reality is whoever, and this is a very fair and valid point, I think whoever we had at halfback last night, Mitch, Nath, whatever, Queensland still played close to the perfect game. And I understand that, and I appreciate that 100%. There's no denying that. Mm-hmm. But I think we could have played the better game, and I think we could have identified spots in that game and adapted to it that I personally think an experienced 7 would have picked up very quickly. Once again, I think there's things in that game that the version of you at Penrith in 2014 would have identified that maybe the Soward of the Dragons in 2010 wouldn't have, and would have adapted to it. And that's the annoying thing with Nath, is that he's shown he can adapt. He's shown it on hundreds of occasions. He can do it. It's not like it's something he can't do. I just think at that level,
He needs a little bit of help.
yeah, he needs, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Protect him from himself.
Yep. Once again, Joey, immortal. Brett Kamali was the first choice hooker for a period of time because it was the best thing for the team. It made the most sense. You still had Joey in the side. He's just playing a slightly different position. Same as I'm suggesting to do with Nath. Do we look at Joey's legacy and does anyone bring him down because he played hooker for 2 years?
No.
No one even fucking talks about it. No one cares. Hot tip, he won.
Can you stop looking at me with those eyes?
Anything else you want to talk about?
No.
Will that do us?
Do you want to do it quickly, our tips, because this is a preview show for this week?
I forgot it was a preview show. We will go through our
Shout out
tips
to
quickly.
Neds.
I wasn't going to let you finish without doing your tips, by the way.
Good. Nothing else you want to touch on from that guy?
Nah, I love you. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm actually, I'm
now
very keen to talk to you as well once you've watched the game back as well.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I love being out there. Atmosphere, it's always good to be at a game of footy, but
I think I'll have some clarity next week. on the
100%,
show.
yeah, I'm keen to hear more of your thoughts.
Or in
once
2
you've
days
watched
when
it.
I've watched it and
7
you get an
times.
abusive text about something.
Okay, Catman Do.
Yes. All right, let's.
Forgot you were there for an hour and a half.
I was taking it all in.
segment.
All right, shall we dive into these games?
People are going to think you and me are having dramas.
Mate, when he went, do not twist my words, I felt like I was on ESPN with Stephen A. Smith.
I thought I
mate,
might have to jump in and separate
I've got
you. or
so many
something.
thoughts coming around in my head. I'm trying to marry back. Love going to the game, but geez, it's hard to watch.
But mate, the game is built for TV. AFL's built to be out there. NRL's built for TV.
Yeah.
NFL's built, in my opinion, for TV as well. The ball's
Yeah.
always in one central spot. TV is the best product for it. NRL, especially Origin, I think is 100% built for TV.
I think us losing's had an effect on me.
Without a doubt, as it should. I love how much we care.
Okay, games.
Talk to me, Amanda.
Round 19. Okay, the action kicks off Friday. We have the Sharks taking on the Dolphins at Shark Park. Kick off at 8 p.m.
Yeah, so on Neds, the Dolphins at $2.35, the Cronulla Sharks at $1.60. I personally highly doubt that Hamiso will back up in this game. Too much of a short turnaround for me. I'm also hearing rumours that the young fella that I've spoken about a little bit, Tavita Nafahu, he's going to debut in this game apparently. So keep an eye on that situation. I think he's a real player of the future. The Dolphins, they've shown over the last couple of years they're not afraid to debut guys maybe before they're a little bit ready, so it'll pay dividends later. He's one to keep an eye on for me. I think the Sharks win at home, but, mate, I have got no confidence in one of the best built squads in the game by distance at all.
Dolphins for me.
I love it.
Okay. All
Saturday.
right. Super Saturday. We have the Newcastle Knights taking on the Melbourne Storm at McDonald Jones. Kick off at 3 p.m.
Knights are at $3.90 in this one on Neds. They are being given a 10.5 start. I love the 10.5 start for Newcastle. They're starting to get some players back. Leo Thompson, Daniel Saifidi, Tyson Frizzell in 13. You got Phoenix Crossan named at 9. I assume he'll move into the 13 role 25 minutes in or so. Bradley will come on. I think the Knights hang in here. But I think the Melbourne Storm win in a tight one. What do you reckon?
Yeah, they weren't. Interesting to note that Howarth Loiero, Munster, Grant, those Origin guys are all in the extended. I don't think Munster will play.
I don't think Grant will play either. He went through the ringer last night.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Newcastle can keep it tight.
Wasn't even named. He's not even on that list.
I think you can keep it tight. Well, they're in a good position now, but
yeah.
I thought the same last week with the Cowboys in Melbourne. I thought that was a real chance to. I changed my tip late to Cowboys. I think Melbourne will win, but yeah, I'm with you. Newcastle will keep it tight.
Just on that note as well, I obviously mentioned it on the show earlier in the week, but whilst we're both here, a little shout out to our mate up there, Jacko Hastings, having a tough week himself as well. So his mother obviously passed away, who was an integral part of was the biggest part of his life growing up. Gets an opportunity in this game as well. So thoughts and prayers to the Hastings family up there and his younger sisters in particular as well. Next game, Endo.
Next game, we have the Dragons taking on the Sydney Roosters at Jubilee Stadium. This one starts 5:30.
Not the Soward Legacy game. Dragons $2.50, Chooks $1.53. I think the Roosters win and win well. I think Connor Watson will back up. Collins, I'm not too sure about. I reckon Spencer Leniu probably does too. Sam Walker back in. I think the Roosters put on a bit of a score here. What do you reckon?
Dragons had moments last week that cost them, little moments, kick chase, all that kind of stuff. And you'd think with Tedesco about to win his second Dally M that it might be a little bit too much for him. I've got it being a high-scoring game.
Yep.
Chooks went. What happened with the Chooks last week? I know they had a lot out.
Mate, I was out at that game.
But I've seen that story a couple of times this year where they've just missed.
Yeah, I personally think if Rodwell scores that try in the first 4 minutes, I reckon they could have put the cleanest through the Tigers that day. But I think the Tigers just got their back up. I think Terrell May woke up at about 4 a.m. that morning ready to rip and tear. I think it just meant a little bit more to the Tigs.
Yeah. All right.
Roosters. I'll tell you what, for the Dragons as well, he came in last week. Michael Molo played on the edge. Fuck, he had a good game. I think he made about 45 tackles, didn't miss any, ran for 100 metres. He's coming off the bench this week. I wouldn't be shocked if he turns into that Dylan Egan role that he was using at the start of the year. He doesn't seem to trust Leilua with big minutes on that edge, so I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Molo becomes kind of important in this side. Late game, Endo.
Late game, kickoff 7:35 at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. We have the North Queensland Cowboys taking on the Bulldogs.
Cows at $2.80 on Neds. Bulldogs at $1.40. Galvin, jersey 17. Kurt Mann, jersey 14. Looks like the Band-Aid will remain for another week. I think the Doggies, I think their defense will just be too good. I don't, as much as I don't love what they're doing at the moment, the Cows to me just look like they have no underbelly whatsoever. So I'm going to take the Doggies.
Yeah, interested to see who backs up, whether Dearden and Crichton back up. Reece Robson, he was nearly 50 tackles last night. Marnie against his new side, I think that they go up there and get things back going. We were supposed to break down what's happening at the Bulldogs at the moment. I reckon we have a look at this week and see how they...
Yep, go on.
Because if they were to lose this week, it's a real problem.
Yep. They're in curry all of a sudden. Sunday, Mando?
Sunday action starts with the New Zealand Warriors taking on the West Tigers at Go Media Stadium. This one starts 2 p.m.
Was short price favourites, $1.42. Tigers out to $2.90. I'm sniffing a bit of an upset here. I reckon the Tigers might go over there, put on a good performance. New Zealand Warriors, Tanner Boyd comes in at halfback. I'm really excited to see how he goes. I really like the Tigers with the start. I'm going to put the balls on the line and go a Tigers upset here. What do you reckon?
Was for me, Boyd in form, coming into the side. I reckon this might be the one that they get their season back on track. It's a sellout. Shout out to the NRLW team who's playing their first home game. So don't make it a sellout just for the boys. Get off your rumps and get out there and support the NRLW as well.
I watched some the NRLW was the other day before the Roosters game. Cracker jersey. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Mate.
Yeah.
They've had some good ones. That's one of my favourites. Unreal. I was going to say something about that game and it has escaped me. Next game, Kat.
Next game, we have the Parramatta Eels taking on the Penrith Panthers. Mitch v. Cleary, Combank Stadium, kickoff 4:05.
Panthers short price favourites, $1.33 on Neds. Eels out to $3.30. I wouldn't be surprised to see Nath Cleary back up in this one. I think he might be one of the few that does. I'm going to take the Panthers to win this one.
Panthers for me. They keep it rolling. Eels next year is going to be they've started something. I reckon they're on the right track. And it's very rarely you see signs like that from, Benji didn't have it in his first year. Jason Riles has got it in his first year. So Panthers for me.
We haven't had a chance to talk about it yet. Talon Silver signs, Riley Smith re-signs the same week. I don't.
Weird?
It makes no sense to me. I don't understand.
They both got the same manager or something.
No, I don't think they do.
I don't know why Riley wouldn't have had a look at Manly.
Yeah,
Or Newcastle.
Anywhere. Heaps of teams that could do with a
The
guy like him.
Bulldogs.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Last game, Mando.
Last game, a little Queensland derby to round out the weekend. Gold Coast Titans taking on the Brisbane Broncos at Seabus Super Stadium.
Best time
Kickoff
slot.
6:15.
Best time slot.
Shittest time slot of
The best.
all time. Titans at $3.50 on Neds. Broncos $1.30. Benny Hunt back in. Wouldn't be surprised if there's some teething problems in this game. But I just have no faith whatsoever in the Titans. I think the Broncos, I think Reece Walsh will come out of Origin camp after being 18th man and whatnot. I think he'll grow an extra leg. I think the Broncos put the cleanest through.
No growing pains. Broncos.
No growing pains.
No growing pains.
Billy Walters did all right last week off the bench too.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, not bad.
See? I knew you'd have to come crawling back after the Cleary stuff. I was just waiting for it. Best time slot.
All right, guys. Make sure you jump onto the Neds app. Follow along with all of our bets for this week. Now, my multi for this weekend on Neds, you can jump on and follow. $13.46. I got Jake Avarillo for the Dolphins at $2.35. I got Bradman Best going up against that Melbourne Storm right edge that leaks like a sieve. He's at $2.85. And Rishi Walsh at $2.10. I think him and the Broncos put the cleaners through the Gold Coast Titans, as I said earlier. So you can jump onto the Neds app, follow along with that bet this week and all the other ones that are on there for the rest of the season. Terms and conditions apply. Prices subject to change. What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. We'll see you next week.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website